We are in class number 26. Class number 26. Okay, so we're gonna quickly review what we did last week. We are now in basically like a string of small sugiyot that are more. We're gonna have much more focus on the content itself and much less focus on the structure, because the structures are really very simple and they're very small, and there's no there's very little happening structure-wise, which means it's easy to focus on the content, which is good because these subjects that we're going to see in the next few classes are actually extremely interesting. They deal with the rabbi's perspective on the appropriate age for marriage. Have to do with things like struggles of teenagers and how that affects the
stone them.
What?
Gotta stone them.
Careful when you use that verb. The verb to stone them can mean two very different types of things.
Yes.
As someone who works with teenagers, you gotta choose your words very carefully. Okay. Who's it? Welcome. Okay. So we're just doing a very quick review. No, it's okay. We just started. We're just doing a quick review of last week for those who weren't here, so we can catch up, and then we can move on to the Tosfot. So we didn't really give out a sheet yet last week. If you just look on Kaftet Amud Bet and you look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12 rows from the bottom. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rows from the bottom. It says there. Do you want to come? Okay. It starts with Tanu Rabbanan. Okay. Which is what? What is Tanu Rabbanan? Tanu Rabbanan is the rabbis taught, and it's going to be a quote. Right? There's going to be a quote of something that the rabbis of the Tanaic era taught us. So we're just going to do this very, very quickly. We're going to review what we did last week. We still have it up from last week. And we saw that there are very, very simple 4 function words. We're going to read it quickly and explain. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught. Lilmod Torah v'lisai isha. Okay, it's presenting us a dilemma. It's not phrasing it as a question, but it basically is a question. Meaning, a person has a debate. Should he be learning or should he be marrying a woman? The understanding is that in this specific case that we're asking about, it is mutually exclusive. It's continuing from a discussion from the previous classes. You remember we saw the story where he to learn and his son to learn, right? We saw who gets precedence. If only one of them can learn full time, and the other needs to work to support that person who's learning full time, who's the one to go, right? And we saw, it should be the father, unless the son is very bright. Then we saw the story about the dragon, Rabbi Acha and Rabbi Yaakov. He said, you're not very smart, I'll go instead of you. And then Abaye presented us with the third option, which was like, no, you don't put yourself, even if the straight up halacha seems to be that you put yourself before your son, no, you don't. Right? Because if you do, you got problems with your ego. Then it's part of. Let's actually take a step back. This whole where are we as far as the big topic? We're looking at the 5 or 6 mitzvot that a father is obligated to do to his son. So Brit Milah we saw, Pidyon Haben we saw, and now we're as part of discussing Talmud Torah, which really spoke about women's exemption from teaching their sons Torah. Say, okay, we're going a little bit off topic. Who's first? Him or his son? Just like we do with Pidyon Ben. Can only do Pidyon to one. Father should do to himself or to his son. Which goes first? Same string. Okay, so now we're debating. A person wants to learn Torah full time, wants to fulfill the obligation of learning Torah, but he wants to do it full time. But he also has the obligation of marrying. So which goes first? Okay, says the Braita, says the Tanakh source, Ilmot Torah v'achar kach yisai isha. What should he do first? Ilmod Torah, v'achar kach yisai isha. First he should learn Torah and then get married. Says the Braita, ve'im efshar lo b'lo isha, meaning if he's not capable of being without a woman, we'll explain in a second what that means. Yisai isha v'achar kach ilmod Torah. Then marry first and then learn. But the ideal is first learn, then get married. Okay, why is that the ideal? Makes sense, because we're talking about a young man. If he's married, then he won't be able to learn full time. whether it's Torah or university studies, whatever. A person will not be able to learn full-time, to devote the majority of his time to learning Torah if he's married. Because why? He'll have to support his wife. That seems to be the assumption, that the man is going to have to support his wife. Definitely, we're talking about 2,000 years ago. Obviously, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely, if they have kids already.
I was going to also have to run the household. You mean need to know Torah to run the household?
Okay, a good point, because how am I going to keep kosher if I don't know? Okay, good point. But as we'll see later on, the main problem is the fact that he'll have to work. If you're working, you can't learn full-time. It says that if he can't manage without a woman, what does that mean, he can't manage without a wife? What could that mean? Don't be shy. What could that mean? He can't manage without a wife.
Hormones.
Yeah, he's distracted. He's distracted by thoughts about women. He's a young man. We don't know exactly how old, but we're talking about the age of marriage, which we'll see soon, what the age of marriage it was and what it could be, should be. We'll see soon, next class. We'll see that in next class. So the ideal is first learn, then get married. But if you can't be without a woman, you won't be able to learn because you're too distracted. So what's the point of learning first? You're not actually learning. So just get married, and then as best as you can learn. Okay, that's the Braita. Okay, so our function word here is Tanu Rabbanan, and we have this whole statement of L'chatchila, learn first. B'di'eved, get married first. Good. This is we're just going through it very quickly because I did this last week. And it says like this: Amar Rav Yehuda. That's the next function word. Okay, Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda commented on this. Amar Shmuel halacha nosei isha v'achar kach lilmod Torah. He paskins halacha. He said, listen, the actual halacha. Forget about what the Braita said. The actual halacha is what? Nosei isha v'achar kach lilmod Torah. First get married. Right? Yeah. First get married, then learn Torah. Okay. That just says, meaning he's starting off with the b'di'eved. First, just get married, then learn Torah. Doesn't explain why. He just says that's the halacha, which seems problematic, right? Why is it problematic that he would say that that's the halacha? Because it contradicts the Braita.
Yes.
But that's what Shmuel said. Rabbi Yochanan said, which is our next function word. He's responding with a bit of he's like kind of like attacking. Maybe change it to an attack. Attacking Shmuel. He says, Chaim b'tzavaro v'yasok b'Torah. A person has a millstone on his neck and he'll be able to learn Torah. Millstone meaning, millstone is one of those large, like you see like an old olive presses. They have this large round stone. They have another one on it and it goes like this, right? With the donkey or the people push it around and it grinds the wheat or grinds the grapes or not grapes, the olives, whatever it is. So that's called a rechaim. So it says what? You have a millstone upon your neck, and you'll be able to learn Torah. Meaning, it's in Pat Shmuel. How can you say that first person should get married and then learn Torah? He's not going to be able to learn Torah if he has the burden of making a living on his neck. Like I would translate into today's terms, the old ball and chain. Not referring to the wife, rather referring to the job that he has to have in order to support it. Okay. And then the Gemara comes and says, "V'lo pligei." Okay, and there's no machloket. There's our last function word. There's no machloket between these two approaches, and there's no machloket between Shmuel and the Braita. Between Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan says no, you can't get married first. Got to learn Torah. Then, so Shmuel says you marry first. Rabbi Yochanan says you learn first. Says the Gemara, look, they don't disagree. Halan v'halehu. Right? This is for them, this is for us. Now, let me give out the page. Okay, just a second.
Who's them and us?
Here you go. Here you go. Okay, do you guys have? Certainly you have. Okay, right. So, we're going to look at Rashi. Okay? So looking at Rashi on the second page, on the flip side. Okay? So Rashi comes in, so it says this is for them and this is for us. So what we're going to do now, because we're also going to see Tosfot, which is awesome. Tosfot is like always awesome, especially the ones that I choose for us to do, because they really give you an insight into the other levels, the more complex way of looking at things. But I promise you, it doesn't get any clearer; it just gets more confusing. It's like they try and think to clarify it, but okay, we'll see. It becomes very clear, but also like Okay, he'll say something. Okay, so we have like this. We have Shmuel. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. So Rav Yehuda saying in the name of Shmuel. So you have Shmuel, who says, what do you do first? Marry first, right? Agree or disagree?
Yes.
Thank you. Marry. Okay. And we have Rabbi Yochanan, who says, learn first. Okay? So the Gemara comes and says, oh, don't wait, they're not contradicting each other. This one is talking about us, and that one's talking about them. Who knows what that means? So let's look at Rashi. Rashi says the following. Halan v'halahu. Bnei Bavel hayu holchin v'gorsin mishnayot hatanaim be'eretz Yisrael. What's Bnei Bavel? What's Banim?
People call it Babel.
What?
People call it Babel.
The people of Babel, or the children, okay, not children, but the people, okay, of Babel. Hayu holchin v'gorsin. They would go and learn the Mishnayot of the Tanaim, but where would they have to go to learn Torah? If they wanted to learn the Torah of the Tanaim, to Israel. Okay? So he says, so this is a very, very important piece. To understand that at the time, the people in Babel, if they wanted to learn seriously full time, they would go and travel for months or for years to Israel. And they would just stay there. Okay? Says Rashi, and I know ahead of time, this is extremely counterintuitive. And because they're learning away from their homes, then the household affairs are not upon them. And therefore, since they're going to be in a different country, and they will not have the burden of livelihood on them, what should they do? Noseh isha. What should he do? Marry first. Because you're leaving anyway. So you won't have to support your wife. Sounds crazy, right? Just a second. Wait, just a second. I know. Sounds very counterintuitive. It's like Rashi is saying, get married and desert your wife. Fine, just a second. Actually, if you think about it, he's actually being somewhat like someone when my son said to me, well, Rashi was a chauvinist. Teenagers love saying that to those statements. I said, it's actually quite the opposite. Because he's saying, it's almost as if he's saying, a woman doesn't need her husband to support her. She can manage even when he's not there. Maybe it's because all he had was daughters.
Is there an underlying assumption that if you could learn without any distractions or there's no hindrance to your learning and get married, it is preferable to get married?
According to the Braita. But it's preferable to do what?
If you could, let's say marriage in whatever way.
Let's say you marry the daughter of a millionaire who says to you, listen, I want to support a son-in-law who's going to sit and learn all day. Here's $1 million a year. Sit and learn. So you're saying in that case everyone would agree that you get married first.
Because you're saying in this case there's no hindrance, so you should marry for if there's no advantage of being married, then.
Wait. So no, you're asking an excellent question in this head, and we'll see. This is exactly where. Hold on to the question, okay? So Rashi comes and says, so that's the situation. They would go and they would learn in Israel, and therefore noseh isha. Why? What's the advantage of marrying? Dahava belo yirhu. He will be without thoughts of distraction. Hilhu is a code word for sexual thoughts. Okay.
He's leaving for 12 years.
Also a good question. Well, excuse me.
One time is enough.
What? So no. So there's two things that come in here. First of all, because it could be that the mere fact that he got married and was there for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, then it kind of got the urgency of I need to get this done. Besides the fact that the Gemara talks about a few places that the fact that a person is married, even if they're far away from their wife, this actually comes. I'll give you an example. There's a few places where this idea appears not in this context. In another context, that the mere fact that a person is married, he can control his desires more, even if right now he doesn't have the access to his wife. Why? Just the mere fact that I have the possibility of it, versus someone who doesn't have the possibility at all because he's not married. Okay.
I would argue he has not the possibility. There's no value.
No, because someone who's married. No, it's okay. If not today, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, next week. But there's again, it could easily be argued otherwise. Okay, but this
At this age, then I would agree if he was 60, but.
Fine. Okay. No. You're right. You're right. We're going to mention soon the several problems that there is in Rashi, and we just pointed out 2 of them, right? But this is what Rashi says. Okay. And we're going to try to understand how, if we have such good arguments against Rashi, how could Rashi hold this way? Okay. So, so marry, so the person marries, so he'll be without any distracting sexual thoughts. So that's who? That's Lan. Okay? So Rashi, I should have done this. That's Lan, that's us. Okay? So we, referring to who? That's Shmuel, right? Should do what? Marry first. So this is us. Okay? This is us. So why? So what's the reason that we should marry? Because whether it's being said in Aramaic, so it said ha is Aramaic, ha la, that's us, is the people of Bavel. That's why Rashi, by the way, that's one of the reasons Rashi holds this way. Because who would say us in Aramaic? People living in Bavel, right? They'd be the ones saying halan. And halan is not Hebrew, it's Aramaic. So as much as we don't like Rashi, the idea of Rashi, it makes sense that that's what the Gemara is saying. Okay? It says, so 1, no distractions, because he'll be married, even though we have a big hole in that logic. No distraction. And 2, no distraction of any kind. No distraction of thoughts about a woman. And 2, he won't have to work. Right? No need to work. No need to work. Yes, we will soon puncture holes in both of those. Well, let's already say now. What's the problems with this?
Isn't there some elsewhere in Kiddushin that says that he's got certain obligations towards his wife?
But she can veto.
She can say, I don't need that. I don't want that.
Oh, I see.
She can come and say, I forgive that.
Okay.
We mentioned this last week, right? If a woman says it's a quid pro quo, meaning I have an obligation to. All of us, we have ketubot, we have an obligation to clothe our wives, feed our wives, and intimate relations. It's part of our obligation. But the flip side of that is any money that our wives may earn go to us. But if a woman, the Gemara says this already, which is really cool, says this 1800 years ago, if a woman says, I want to keep my own money, whatever money I make, again, back then, not too many women worked, but that was just a social reality. But even back then, the Gemara comes and says, if a woman says, I'm making my own money and I want to hold on to it, it's my decision, then fine, halachically that she's allowed to do that, but then the husband no longer has the halachic obligation of clothing her, feeding her. It makes sense. Meaning she now has independent monetary standing, so I do not have monetary obligations towards you. Makes a lot of sense.
What if she brings money into the marriage? Same applies? Or?
Is it a joint account or is it his account? If the account's in his name, then the money becomes his, right? And he has now a halachic obligation to make sure that she has what to eat, she has what to wear, etc. Yeah. If she says no, separate accounts.
Yeah.
I know people who do that. I don't know. It seems weird to me, but I know people who do that. Hey, in our house, if any one person's name is going to be in the account, it needs us. So okay. So what are our two kushiyot on these things? What are our two difficulties with this? You said them already.
It's not realistic.
What? Why? What's not realistic?
Like what they're trying to achieve, which is he won't be distracted, he can learn.
Right.
Not achieved.
So our problem with this, okay, which is this is our kushiyot. One. What does it help if someone slept with his wife 3 months ago and he's in a different country far away? It's like, just because someone slept with, had intimate relations 6 months ago, his hormones will remember that and not be raging as much? Whether a person is 19 years old and he did get married a year ago, or 19 years old and he didn't get married, his biology is still going to be the same, right?
But I would think though that if you're
just as many sexual distractions. And 2, what's even more disturbing?
He doesn't have to support.
What do you mean? He could desert his wife? Meaning, what do you mean? Since he's going to be in a faraway land, he no longer, since he can't support it because he's in a different land. Okay, it's not like today he can't wire over money, right? So 2, like how could it be that you're saying it's okay to not support your family? Isn't that like a thing? Isn't it a mitzvah? You need to support your family? Like, also like not support family.
Going back to what you said, Rabbi.
Yes.
If she doesn't choose to forego her right? If she says, no, I'm not going to keep my money, it's all ours.
No, it's not ours. No, it's not ours. It's yours.
It's his. In the sense, he has no right to leave her. Like isn't it her decision to say, no, you're still supposed to provide me with an A, B, C.
Right. You're saying the default assumption is you, my husband, are obligated to support with these things. If I decide that I want to make money and keep it, you are then absolved.
Right.
You are now released from the obligation towards me. Yes, you're right. So there's an understanding that if the woman says, like Rabbi Akiva's wife, that's what we're talking about here. People like that.
Yeah.
People who left and learned for 5 years, 6 years, 12 years. If it says, go, I want you to go.
Right, but Rashi doesn't make it as a condition.
No, he doesn't.
Up to the men.
You're right, he doesn't. He's just describing a reality.
Yeah.
The reality is that people would go to Israel to learn.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay, so it's a simple question. Well, can they just do that? Do they need the wife's consent? Do they not? Good question. Okay, so that's this is the Rashi about Halan. That's us, right? That's Lan. Us. And now let's see what he says about Lehu. Lehu, Libnei Eretz. Well, so who's Lehu? Who's them? Libnei Eretz Yisrael halomdim bimkomam. So who's that? The people who live in Israel. Where do they learn? In Israel. Because where they're going to go. That's where all the big yeshivas are. That's where all the rabbis are, right? Which is, again, we're giving a little insight into the dynamic of the yeshiva world of the time, which is also interesting.
Right.
We're going to see some in the Tlmud, it's going to become so much better. So, im nosei isha, if the person who lives in Israel and is learning in Israel, if he gets married, what's going to happen? He goes home every night to his family. What's he going to have to do?
He's still obligated.
He's going to have to support them. He's going to have to work. Right? So lehu, them, the Bnei Eretz Yisrael and Avdim B'Mkomam will learn in their places. Even the Seisha, Yehu Tzolkei Habayit Mutalin Elav. Veivatlu. He'll have to support his family and he won't be able to learn. Okay? So Rabbi Yochanan, this is lehu, which is them. So what should they do? Right? Why should they learn first? Because otherwise, right? 1, so don't need to work. Okay? So what's our problem with this? What is the problem with this approach? Anything? What's the hole here? What's not perfect here? How's it supposed to learn?
Those urges.
What about the person's sexual urges?
Yeah.
How's he supposed to focus? So you haven't solved that, right? You haven't solved it, but I guess it's better. Rashi, I guess, feels that according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's either or. It's a trade-off. If you're going to get married, you won't be able to learn because you have to support your family. If you learn and don't get married, then maybe you'll get distracted. Maybe you won't. Maybe one day you will. No, next day you won't. Maybe sometimes you'll be more depressed that everyone else is married and you're not. And other days you won't. So, but if you get married, there's no way you're going to actually be able to learn effectively because you're going to have to work.
But doesn't mean you're saying that Rabbi Yochanan contradicts the Chazal or Tanu Rabbanan, or whatever you call it.
No, the Tanu Rabbanan said, learn first.
Right, but they had this clause saying, well, if you really want to, you can get married first.
No.
If you have all those urges.
Not if you really want to, is if you can't. If you're not learning anyway. So it could be that Rabbi Yochanan would agree with that.
Yeah.
So if you're not learning anyway, say, I can't learn. I'm not learning anything. All I'm doing is sitting and fantasizing about girls.
Right.
Well, fine, you're not learning anyway. So maybe you should be thinking about a different career than learning full time. Okay.
That's a good question. Is a statement for everyone, or is it just he's talking to the elite?
Doesn't say.
Okay.
Excellent question. So if you were to ask, so here you go. If you were to ask someone from the yeshivish world, let's say, it doesn't say who. Obviously, it's talking about everyone. If you're talking to me, I say no. It's not talking about everyone. It's talking about elite. Okay. Now, here's something interesting. Important historical note. So we see our difficulty with Rashi is very clear. Come on, you're telling people people should desert their wives. And besides, how does it take care of people's sexual desires? It doesn't. It takes care of it for 1 night, 2 nights, a month, whatever, but that's it. Right? So how could Rashi say what he's saying? So again, because it's Aramaic, it says us in Aramaic would be Bnei Bavel. Okay, so that's Shmuel. Here's another historical footnote. Anyone want to take a guess where Shmuel actually lived? Take a guess. You'll be right. Take a guess. Correct. Shmuel lived in Bavel. Want to take a guess where Rabbi Yochanan lived? Take a guess. I promise you'll be right. Israel. That would be another very strong support for Rashi. Meaning, but once you say that Shmuel is the one who said that once you understand that Shmuel who says Mary is to the people of Bavel, then Rashi's explanation has to be the explanation, right? Shmuel says you get married first. If he's talking to the people of Bavel, then we're talking about people getting married and deserting their wives. This is not Rashi's, right? If you understand that Shmuel, who says Mary, is talking to Bavel, then Rashi's explanation has to be true. Okay? Land, this is Babylon. This is Bavel, where he was from. And this is Israel. Excuse me. Israel. Okay. You guys ready to see Tosfot? What time is it? This is the exciting stuff. What time is it?
8:40.
Okay, we got some time. Okay, we have 2 sheets here. And I apologize, I know it says sheet 36, that's because it was sheet 36 in my grade 10 Gemara class. I usually remember to switch it to the number that we're at. So if you want to cross it out and write class 26 instead of class 36, you go ahead and do that. Okay, go ahead. So let's see, what did I define here as the question? Read the Tosfot below and answer the questions on the other side of the page. This is actually only half the Tosfot. We're going to start just with this, and we'll see, depending how it goes and how wild we want to get, maybe next class we'll do the second part of the Tosfot, which complicates it even more. So go ahead. In Chavruta, you can go ahead and read it in the English. I'm back in a second.
Просто имя что запретил multiple marriages.
So I'd say start off just reading the whole Tosfot first. Just go over it with this whole section of the Tosfot. Just go ahead and read it. The first line, this is Rashi explains, and it just brings, and Tosfot just brings the entire Rashi. Usually Tosfot starts off by bringing Rashi, and then questioning him. Okay, so I didn't break down the whole Rashi again. Okay. I'm going to sit down for a second. I'm going to move this. I'm going to move this.
It's like reversing things.
Mm-hmm. Let's answer the first question together. Okay. First, did everyone get a chance to read through the entire Tosfot? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Does the Tosfot bring a Sheila or a Kushya on Rashi? How many? How do you know? Look at the original. Look at the Hebrew on top. What's this? What? The Kasha. Means the Kushya. In the English it is, and this is difficult. But Tosfot also has structure to it. It's one of the things I want to see, but it's not really my main focus, just kind of like a side thing. Which is, what Tosfot is usually, but in this case it's not really, we saw it in the first Tosfot that we saw the Sugya. Tosfot is using the exact logic and structures that Gemara does. He's Gemaraing the Gemara, so to say. Or, in this case, he's Gemaraing Rashi. Okay, he's treating Rashi like a source which he's trying to figure out, and he's attacking, and he's trying to resolve. Or bring an alternate explanation for it. So right, if you go and you look at the second line of Tosfot, it says, Ve'od kashe. Okay, so what are the two kushiyot, the two attacks that the Tosfot brings on Rashi?
It's the two that we...
Yeah, the ones we figured out on. And this is difficult to Rabbeinu Tam, that Shmuel would say that one should marry first in order to be without disturbing thoughts, and that he is speaking about those who live in Bavel. Why? If so, they are still disturbed by thoughts, as they travel elsewhere to learn. It's like, you don't need to be Tosfot to figure this out. We did. Like it doesn't make sense. Additionally, look at this. Okay, it is difficult. How will he leave his place to go study after he got married, as he is obligated to make a living to sustain his wife and children? And in the first chapter of Gittin, check this out. The degree to which Tosfot has a problem with Rashi. By the way, who was his grandfather? Okay. So this is Rabbeinu Tam. Well, someone is quoting Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam was Rashi's grandson. Yeah, his grandson, his daughter's son. And in the first chapter of Gittin, we learned that Rabbi Aviatar sent the following: people who come from there to here, meaning from Bavel to Israel, it is said of them, and they gave a boy for a harlot and a girl they sold for wine. Meaning that his sons and daughters need to rent themselves out for their food, meaning they do not do appropriately, that they leave their places to go learn. What is Tosfot saying about Rashi's idea? He's saying, people who do that, are basically selling their sons and daughters to prostitution. Why?
So I thought when you went to study, your needs were taken care of.
By whom?
Not in that time period. Yeah. Okay.
Not really today either. We all get shmushalachim coming to us every 3 nights from Israel, asking us to help them or support them learning or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Or support them while they're learning so they can marry off their children, or I don't know what.
Okay.
So he says, because, right, if you're not supporting them, what exactly are they supposed to do? They could easily find themselves, that's obviously an extreme, it's pointing out an extreme, but it's as if you've sold your kids for prostitution. Okay? So, meaning, Sato says, meaning, you shouldn't do it. So how are you telling me this is what Shmuel said we should do? Doesn't make any sense. Okay. Therefore, according to Rabbi Tlmud, is the opposite. Okay, someone tell me what. Okay, I'm going to do this chart again. So we have Shmuel, who says to marry. And we have, that doesn't change, right? This we know. He says this is it. The question is, who is each one speaking to? Okay, learn first. Okay, you guys tell me, what am I writing? So Shmuel, who says marry, come on, Isaac, you two. I'm not telling you. I'm not giving this to you. Come on.
Shmuel is saying kind of that he's talking about Israel.
Who?
Israel.
But Shmuel is talking about Israel.
Right.
So that when Shmuel says marry, so that's lehu. That's them. Okay? Lehu. Them. Meaning Israel. How does he explain it? Okay? So, the people of Israel, okay, should marry first. Why?
So they have the ability to do both.
Why? How do they have an ability to do both?
So, geographically, they can.
Look at the Tosfot.
They reach.
Look at the Tosfot. What does he say about Shmuel? He starts off explaining Rabbi Yochanan's approach.
That they're wealthy. They have.
That's the important piece. They were wealthy. So the problem that
number 2, they don't have to worry about that.
Right.
And they're close to their wives.
They were wealthy.
So
this is a new revelation we have about the sociology, about the socioeconomic situation, how it affects halacha. That's what's really cool here, right? We didn't know this. How do we know this? Tosfot knows it from other places, okay? From other contexts. So he says, 1, they were wealthy.
So then question number 2.
And therefore, they could get married, no distracting thoughts, and not be. That's why I said with your question.
Right. And
they were wealthy,
and they were being in Israel.
Right. So wealthy, and therefore, 1, no distracting thoughts.
Well, isn't the wealthy really is not to distract? The wealthy is that
No, meaning no distracting thoughts because it can get. Meaning that's why I said they married. Because they were wealthy, they could get married, have no distracting sexual thoughts, and 2, no need to work.
Right. So the wealthy.
They all had rich fathers or father-in-laws. Okay.
So
anything missing here? Any problem with the Tosfot's explanation?
No.
What about the people that aren't wealthy?
Yeah, I mean, you can't make a generalized statement.
Sure you can. He just did.
That all of them were wealthy?
That obviously there's enough that they as a community were wealthy. He doesn't explain to us why that means they don't have to work. Is it because they all have rich fathers and fathers-in-laws, or because the community will support them? I don't know. It doesn't say. But it says they were wealthy. And therefore, it is possible for them to learn while they're married without having to support their families. Maybe they had kollel. I don't know. Maybe the community supported them. But they were wealthy, and therefore, it is possible for them to learn while married and not have to work. How does he explain Rabbi Yochanan? So, Rabbi Yochanan, who says learn, who is he speaking to? Lan. Us. Okay, us in Aramaic would be referring to the people of Bavel. Okay, why? What's the logic?
For the opposite reason, they were poor.
And therefore?
They don't want to leave their wives without any means.
Right. Meaning, if they were wealthy, then they could marry, go to Israel and leave their wives with a ton of money.
Right.
But they're not, because they're poor.
Right.
Okay? I meant to do this in green, by the way. My apologies.
And they're
poor.
Right.
Okay. So can't
support the family.
Especially not from far away.
And they can't support themselves as well.
What?
Okay. And they couldn't support themselves as well if they went away.
Right. Well, the way it works is when people went away, even when they went away, so they worked a little bit just so they have enough food to pay for food or to pay for lodging, something like that. They pay peanuts.
And the second part is that they still have the problem of distracting.
No, they don't. So that's why they learn first, right? Meaning, excuse me, right? This just needs to be. Why should they learn first? Okay. Why should they learn first? Because won't be able to learn if married because they're poor, right?
Okay, so the distracting thought still is a possible issue.
Right. So over here we still have a problem of what's the problem? You haven't solved distracting thoughts. But had Rashi taken care of that?
No.
No. Neither one of them did. That's still a problem. That's still a, and we'll see that this is a repetitive theme of the next few sugiyot, that yes, there's an understanding that as being human beings and having hormones, especially at the younger ages, people are going to have thoughts, and it's perfectly natural, and sometimes you just got to live with it. And we'll see. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of discussion about it. What time is it?
You got 52, 8:52.
Okay, we got a couple more minutes, just a few more minutes. So, all right, like I said, this is supposed to be green, right? In red, I'm putting the kushiyot. Okay, you get the idea. I'm not going to do the whole thing, right? Okay. The LCD is kicking in. So, I'm happy that my mental illness entertains you. I'm kidding. God forbid. God forbid. So, okay, we've missed something. What is the difficulty with Tosfot? Let's read the Tosfot just to make sure we're all in the same. That we're all understand what's going on here, and then you will tell me what. We all pointed out very easily the weakness in Rashi's thing, which is, what are you talking about? You haven't solved either one. You haven't solved the problem of distracting sexual thoughts, and you haven't solved the problem of excuse me, are you crazy? People deserting their wives for years and years. Okay, not deserting in the sense that leaving them to how are they supposed to eat? Okay. So that was very clear to us. But there is also a real difficulty with Tosfot, which you guys have not picked up on yet. So let's just read. Therefore, according to Rabbeinu Tam, it is the opposite. That Rabbeinu Yochanan, who said a millstone on his neck and he will learn Torah, was speaking to the people of Bavel, that he cannot leave his wife and go learn Torah. Additionally, they are poor. Okay? So we have a fundamental disagreement between Rashi and Tosfot on the question of, is it permissible for a person to leave his wife to go learn Torah? Okay? Tosfot says absolutely not. Rashi says absolutely yes. Okay? And Shmuel, who said that he should marry first, wait, Tosfot can bring to his proof the Gemara from Gittin. What can Rashi bring for his proof that it is permissible to leave your wife without any financial support to go learn Torah? What's Rashi's support? Don't look for it in Rashi, it doesn't say it. What could be his support for this? Give me a name.
Oh, see, Rabbi Yes.
Rabbi Akiva. But Rabbi Akiva is only one story of over 10 that we know of for a fact that left their wives for many, many years to go learn. Some of the greatest Tanaim left their wives. The Gemara brings stories, several stories, of great rabbis who left their wives for many, many years. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, not only during the time of the cave, he left. He and Rabbi Akiva left, no, excuse me, he and someone else, but him and Rabbi Ishmael, and him and there's some other, Rabbi Chanina ben Chachinai, says that he and Rabbi Shimon left together and they weren't learned for 12 years. And there are a bunch of others. Pretty good proof for Rashi. Rabbi Akiva did it, must be okay. Again, maybe it's because his wife, maybe the difference is your wife let you, if your wife says it's okay to do, then maybe it is okay to do. I don't know. But it doesn't go into it right now.
Yes, but according to that, the story wasn't it a condition of their marriage that she said he would actually marry him if he went to study?
Yeah. She said to him, I'm only agreeing to marry you if you go. Yeah. I'm saying, but the fact is that with Rabbi Akiva, it seems to be okay. Okay. Now, and Shmuel, who said that he should marry first, was speaking to the people of Israel, who can learn in their own place, and additionally, they were wealthy. And it is good that they marry and learn in purity. Right? No distracting sexual thoughts. And even though sometimes also people from Israel would leave their places and go to Bavel to study Torah, but most of them learned in their own places. So we're going by the majority. Yes, on a rare occasion, a person would leave Israel to go learn in Bavel, but that's a rarity. So we're talking about as a general rule. I ask you again, what is missing? What is the problem with Tosfot?
He's attacking Rashi.
So he's allowed to attack Rashi. They're in the same generation, like they're in the same stage, just like an Amora can attack an Amora, and a Tana can attack a Tana, even if they lived 100 years later.
Where they're leaving.
Why would Shmuel, who lives in Bavel, be giving a psak halacha to the people of Israel? Right? Why would Shmuel be giving a psak halacha to the people who live in a different country? And why would Rabbi Yochanan, who lives in Israel, doesn't make sense that he would be giving a psak to people from Bavel? Right? Agree or don't agree?
I hear what you're saying. So
Shmuel lived his entire life in Bavel. Why would he be saying a psak? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, halacha. This is the halacha. Marry first. Why would he be speaking to people who live in a different country? So the Tosfot brings this. I didn't bring the Tosfot, but think carefully. There's an excellent answer to it. Tosfot knows his weak spot. His weak spot is Shmuel. The way I flipped it, right? Shmuel's speaking not to his people. He's speaking to the people from a different country.
Or maybe,
and Rabbi Yochanan is not speaking to his people, he's speaking to people from a different country. Why? Doesn't make any sense.
Unless what Shmuel is really saying is he's talking to the people in Babel and saying this is the exception.
No, he's saying.
Yeah, I mean maybe he was learning there.
What? Shmuel was from Bavel and lived in Bavel. But you guys are thinking along the right lines. And you'll get it in 1 minute. Why would it make sense? Could it make sense that Rabbi Yochanan, who lives in Israel, will be telling people from Bavel that they should learn first? Why does that make sense? What would be the scenario with Rabbi Yochanan living in Israel?
Oh, come here. Come here.
Who is he teaching? Who is Rabbi Yochanan teaching? Some of his students are from where?
He's trying to encourage them to come.
He's saying, you can come here to learn. You don't have to get married first. Half of Rabbi Yochanan's students, or whatever, are actually from Bavel. They're sitting in front of him, and so he's saying to them, listen, you are poor, So if you want to learn Torah, the only way to do it is stay here, learn, stay single. It would be like me coming from Israel here on Shlichut and saying to the rabbi here, I am from Israel. Should I keep 1 day or 2 days? Okay? Or someone who's traveling for Pesach to Israel says to the rabbi in Israel, I'm from Canada. Should I keep 1 day or 2 days? Now, if an Israeli is asking an Israeli rabbi, should I keep 1 day or 2 days? Or if a Canadian is asking an Israeli rabbi, should I keep 1 day or 2 days? I'll get a different answer. But, since it'd be like saying, Israeli rabbi is a scholar in residence in one of these hotels that Americans come to, and they rent out the entire hotel for Pesach. And he says to them, keep 2 days, even though you're in Israel. You say, well, how could that rabbi say in Israel keep 2 days? Because he's speaking to people from America.
That works for Yochanan. I'm trying to see how that works for Shmuel.
Very good. Excellent.
Talking about.
Excellent. So Tosfot, which I'll bring in next week, just so we see that we figure this out on their own. He comes and he says how they're speaking to the wrong groups of people. That's one of the proofs that we could think of for why Rashi makes sense.
Right.
So he says, well, first of all, Tosfot himself said that sometimes, although it's a minority, sometimes people from Israel went to Bavel as well.
Seems a little weaker.
And sometimes you do have rabbis from different countries giving a psak to people trying to give psak to people from different countries. So no, and Tosfot knows that's a little bit weak, and he brings proofs from several other places in the Gemara where we see explicitly, it's said explicitly the rabbi from one country was giving a psak for people from a different country. He comes and brings proof that this indeed happened. I agree with you that over here it makes perfect sense. Because we know, everyone agreed, both Rashi and Tosfot agreed. So, that's what's happening here, okay? So we have here two completely opposite, diametrically opposed readings of the Gemara, okay? Each one, you can make pretty good arguments to support it, but each one has certain difficulties in it also. But through this disagreement, we discover a few things. One, that the custom at the time was that there were some, maybe many people, who would travel from Bavel to Israel because Israel is the Torah center and would travel there to learn for long periods of time. Sometimes even while leaving their wives. Okay? And we see also that the socioeconomic, so we see that Rashi and Tosfot disagree about something fundamental. And it has to do with something very, if you think about it, go to the next level, there's what's hiding behind this is could be hiding a fundamental disagreement about what is the relationship between Torah study and family life. Rashi says on the one hand, yes, you can do both, but as an ideal, practically speaking, it's like the perfect story of Rabbi Akiva and his wife. Because he loved for 24 years and they were separate, look how beautiful their love is. The end of that story. It was all worth it. So yeah, they can be married even though it doesn't have any. You can sacrifice your family life for your own spiritual growth, says Rashi. Tosfot says, of course not. You don't sacrifice your family life for your own personal growth. You just wait. Grow, then get married. Okay? So there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to consider here. And we've also discovered how socioeconomic situation could not only existed, but could affect the psak halacha and the way in which people, and the socioeconomic situation affected societal norms. Should you get married first or should you learn first? You understand it's very different. If you have a society that's based on people learning and they're getting married later, you have a whole bunch of people getting married later, a whole bunch of people getting married earlier. That has ramifications. Do you have less people or more people learning, and therefore you have more of an elite of more people who are more educated? There's a lot of things that this can explain. All over the Gemara, this is referred to dozens of times because of, in ways to try to explain different stories or different piskei halacha in the Gemara that discuss these types of things. But then it depends. Do you go according to Rashi's explanation of the sugya or Tosfot's explanation of the sugya, which are like this. But you understand how cool and how much you can dig through this and to come up with what does this mean? How does this affect things? How awesome is Tosfot? Right? Is Rashi and Tosfot? And it's like, you read the Gemara, it's like, halan halahu, okay, this is for them, this is that. If you're just reading the Gemara, like, just like that, it's like, oh, it's like, for some people, they should get married first and then for some people, okay, let's continue. Whoa, wait a second, do you realize what you're missing here?